Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46, verse 10. It's one of the most famous verses in the Bible. We put it on posters, we write it in encouragement cards, and we say it during times of upheaval. Each of us longs to feel this deep type of lasting peace that only comes from God. Yet if we're honest, we have trouble living it. We're rarely still, we rarely sleep without tossing and turning, and none of us has fully given into the fact that God is God and we're not. So what do? How can we be still? How are we to achieve this peace and this trust that only comes from God? The clues are back in verse 8 of Psalm 46. Verse 8 tells us to behold the works of the Lord. It's interesting to consider at that time when Psalm 46 was likely written what those works might have been. It looks like it was a personal invitation to the people of Jerusalem to come and look at the destruction of their enemies and witness God's complete deliverance, that he had saved his people once again. But it isn't until verse 10 that God himself tells us to be still and know that I am God. So how are we to be still? How are we to behold the works of the Lord? Because when we stop and look around at what God has done for us, that is when we get to see his grace and his mercy. Last week I got the chance to stop, properly stop. I went away on holiday, away from life. I turned off the stuff that gets my heart racing and leaves my head swirling. I sat on the beach and I looked out at the horizon and I saw and I appreciated God's creation all around me. I sat with a friend and I was reminded of all the special people that God has put in my life, my family and my friends. I sat and enjoyed a long, leisurely meal rather than eating on the hoof like I normally do. And I thank God for the food that he provided me. I breathed in slowly and deeply, rather than rapidly as I rush around in my normal everyday life. I didn't watch the news. I didn't mainline on social media, and it was such a blessing. I could breathe. And to be truthful, I didn't want to come home because I do find life a bit overwhelming most of the time. But last week I had the time to think, time to breathe, time to consider the flowers of the field, and my daily anxious feelings disappeared. The instruction to be still in Hebrew means to let go, to stop striving, to let it drop. I had forgotten what a precious feeling it is to do just that, to let go and let God. It's not something that any of us do easily, preferring to handle stuff ourselves and then ending up in an even bigger pickle than when we started. But if we look at Psalm 46 verse 10 and let God speak to us, we should hear God say to us, take a step back, open your eyes and acknowledge who I am and let me be God. Don't try to do my job for me. Be patient, be still, and let me do my work. See, because I know that all I get from trying to be God in my life is more anxiety and less time to appreciate his works. He's blessed me with a wonderful family, fantastic friends, a beautiful village to live in, a wonderful church to lead. I have food on my table, a lovely house to live in. I have far too many clothes and shoes. There is nothing that I need. So can I encourage you to stop, to be still, to allow God to be God and behold the works of the Lord. Factor it into your daily routine. Don't wait for 2 years for a holiday like I did, by which time I was exhausted. The reason this reflection is arriving in your inboxes today a little bit late, it's because I practiced what I preach. Today I got up late. I sat in God's presence for a whole hour before I started my day. It was bliss. It was just what I needed. Be still and know that I am God. It's an instruction from God, not a recommendation, an instruction. And it's one that I'm going to take seriously from now on. And I hope that you will join me. God bless, and enjoy the peace you find in the presence of God.